Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. What would you do to be down? How far would you go? What lines would you cross to become part of an organization, to be trusted by the individuals that run the organization, to make money, you know what I'm saying, to survive the streets? What would you do? What limit would you put on your willingness or ability to do anything dealing with the streets? That's what this story is about. This story is about this young brother named K-Loke. See, K-Loke was struggling. His family was struggling. It's a typical story, right? In the hood, you know what I'm saying, when things are not working out, your dad is not around, your mom is struggling trying to make ends meet, men are in and out of the house, all the different things are going on, but at the end of the day, no matter what it is anybody else is doing, when your stomach gets to growling, you got to eat. And that's the situation here. K-Loke is hungry. He's tired of seeing his mama being used and abused and never being able to get ahead. He wants to do something to make it better. And see, another thing about his life is that, you know, they got good family, but they family don't really mess with K-Loke like that and his mom. They just don't. See, they working class people too, but they feel like that, you know, K-Loke's mom made a lot of mistakes, you know what I'm saying, choosing the guy that she chose, right? And now that he's gone in and out of jail and prison and never really coming around unless he wants something, they look at her and tell her that, you know, you made the bed, lay in it. Yeah, they'll help her out every now and then, you know, when they're feeling good on Christmas or Thanksgiving or something like that. But K-Loke feels it. But see, he's real close to his cousin. His cousin is younger than him, Trail. He mess with him. They real cool, you know. And K-Loke's auntie, that's Trail's mom. And he understands that his mom and his auntie don't really see eye to eye, but he never really could fully understand why she don't help out more. You know, they're working class, but they're living better than K-Loke and his mom. So K-Loke finds himself getting down with one of the local drug dealers, local street dudes named Dre. Dre got it going on as far as street standards, doing all the different things that he does, making all kinds of money. But see, you never really know how dirty a person is until you see, you know what I'm saying, how they get down. He did everything. I'm talking about he was involved in everything. Contract killings, prostitution, drug, kidnapping, white slavery, anything and everything that'll make a buck. Dre had no problem in doing that. Dre had no problem with any of that. And anybody that was a part of his organization, they were just cogs in the machine and they were all replaceable, and he made no bones about letting them know that. It was something weird about that whole dynamic because it made them even more loyal to him. Made them even more loyal to him. And he pushed that agenda on them. You stay loyal to me, you'll be okay. One act of you not being loyal and you could be disappeared. That's how Dre got down. And everybody knew it. But he had money. He had money. So once, you know what I'm saying, he was meeting with a lot of the local henchmen, trying to discuss some business, and they met at this new park that the city had built for the kids that love to be on these skateboards and all this and that, right? And they met there late at night. Now Trail was there this particular night. You know, it wasn't that far from his house. They had lights and all this and that. And he had these dreams and aspirations of being a professional skateboarder one day and even going to the Olympics. He practiced every day, every night. And his mom, she knew where he was at. They had no real incidents at this particular park, even though everybody knew that these local the local henchmen and the people that were in the streets, that they would meet there late at night, but they never let it get out of hand. There was no gunplay, no nothing, right? So Trail didn't think anything of it by being there. You know, he's there, it's 2 a.m. He wants to get one more last run in before he goes home, and it's a Friday night. So he doesn't have to go to school the next day. So what's the big deal? His mom, they had done this before. She wasn't tripping. She knew where he was at. So this particular night, Trail hears some men, Dre and the people that he was hanging around, they're getting kind of loud, kind of animated. So being the typical 15-year-old, he finds his way over there and he's hiding, he's listening to what they're saying. And they're discussing a contract killing. And he doesn't really hear the name, but he does hear that they're talking about taking somebody out. So it scares him and he tries to get away. And in the course of him trying to get away, he drops his skateboard and makes up all this noise and gets the attention of Dre and the other people with him. So when they turn and look, they see the young man. They don't really know his name, but they know who he is, if that makes any sense. They don't know his name, but they've seen him around. So Dre tells him, find out who it is calmly. No big deal to him. It's just another kid. So they find out who it is a day or so later. And Dre puts his plan into motion. Kalo comes by the house. Now keep in mind, Dre cold and calculated. He don't care nothing about nothing. Kalo comes by the house. And when he gets over to the house, Dre looks at him. He tells me, he said, look, you've been hanging around me for a long time, eating off my table. He said, but it's time that you do something to let me know that you're going to be part of this family or not. Kalo looked at him. He said, what do you need me to do? And he hands him this burner phone. He said, okay, what do I need to do with this? And he handed him a piece of paper. He said, I need you to text this message at exactly 6 o'clock tonight. Don't worry about anything else. He said, who is it to and what's it about? Dre looks at him and said, don't worry about that. He said, why can't you do it? Dre tells him, because I want you to do it. So Dre looks down at the piece of paper. He sees the name on it. It says Trail. And at first he's startled by the name because he's like, that's the same nickname that his cousin has. And he's like looking up at Dre, and now he sees a time on it, a location on it, and then the words at the end of it. Dre looks at him. He said, you got a problem with this? Kalo looks back at him and tells him, no, I ain't got no problem with it. He says, what is this about? He said, don't worry about what it's about. You do what I tell you to do or get out. Now, come on. Now, Kalo knew what it was. Once he accepted that phone and that piece of paper, it wasn't no getting out. It wasn't none of that. He had been told, take the phone at a certain time, send a message. Oh, let me add one more caveat to that. He told him where he needed to be in the city when he sends the message. He's got to be at a certain address when he sends that message. Now, why is all of that important, y'all? Why does he have to be in a certain location at a certain time when he sends that message? See, it's one thing you got to understand about people that are deep into the game, organized crime, whether they're gang members or not, right? Every detail makes the difference between you staying free or you being in prison. Every detail. And he told him, don't even turn it on until you get to the location. Do you understand? He's looking at Kalo with those eyes menacing. Kalo tells him, yeah, I got it. I totally understand what you said. I got that. So Kalo, he leaves and he convinces himself that this is somebody else. Because kids, how kids will borrow nicknames and stuff like that. You might know 3 or 4 people with the same nickname in one neighborhood. But it really didn't register to him that this had to be necessarily his cousin, because surely Dre wouldn't have him send a message like this about somebody that he was related to. But then he thought, man, maybe Dre don't know that this is my cousin. Should I tell him? Should I not tell him? But he was already on his way to the spot. He had less than 30 minutes to get to the area that he needed to be at before he even turned on the phone to send the message. So he arrives 15 minutes early. 15 minutes early. And he turns on the phone. But what he don't realize is that Dre got somebody already in the spot, had been there for 2 hours already waiting, sitting, monitoring Kalo. And they see him on the phone 15 whole minutes before the time that he's supposed to send the message. And he's sitting there and he's going through the phone. And they see the activity because they got an app connected to it that's telling them everything that he's doing. And he's on this phone and he's going from screen to screen and he's sending these screenshots to another phone. That phone was his personal phone that he sending these messages to. And because Dre's henchman had an app connected to that would let them know everything that's being done on that phone, they knew everything that he was doing and where he was sending it to. He was sending it to his personal phone. So his henchmen get on their phone and they call Dre and they say, look, he's copying everything in the phone. Dre said, keep watching it. And after he sends the message, get that phone from him. And then do what you need to do. They understood totally what he was saying. They understood perfectly what was being said. So the time came for him to send the message, and he sent the message, and he had the name. It says Trail. It described what he would have on. How would they know that? It described the time that they wanted it done. What did they want done? The end of the message says, dropping. Now come on now. If you're in the streets, what does that mean? You know what it means. So Kalo didn't want to believe that it was his cousin, so he wouldn't accept that mentally. So when he finished, he turned the phone off and he headed back to Dre. But on the way back, he ran into a problem. See, this Crown Vic was following him and he peeped it. He didn't understand what was going on, so he saw an opportunity to duck away. And he ducked away, stashed the car, he gets out of the car, and he runs into this pawn shop on Vans. Now while he's in the pawn shop, he's walking around and looking at these two henchmen. They get out of the car and they see him. And he ditches them. And he's like, what's going on? What's the problem? And in the meantime, in between time, the two henchmen, they done called Dre and told Dre he's running. So Dre tells him, find him, get him, take care of him. So they're on him. They're on him. So he gets outside the pawn shop by going out the back, and they follow him out back, and he hides behind a dumpster. They run around, they look, and they can't find him. So they go back through the pawn shop and get back in their car, and they pull off. Then he walks by one of the local diners and he sees the TV on the inside. He's on the outside. He can't really hear what it's saying, but news flash, breaking news. It says Mike Trail, nickname in the middle, Johnson, 15-year-old, gunned down, deceased, on the way to the hospital. Multiple gunshot wounds. And they showed a picture of this young man in his basketball jersey. He's in middle school. They showed a picture of him. And Kalo's heart stopped. He couldn't breathe. His throat swelling up. He fell down to his knees right in front of the diner, looking through the window to see if anything else was said, but he couldn't find it in him to get up and go on the inside. He didn't want to hear what was being said. He didn't want to accept that he had participated in something that cost his own cousin his life. So right then and there, he said something to God that nobody else could hear. he said, God, please forgive me for what I've done. But he didn't hear a voice back. He didn't hear anything. And he got up on his feet and he looked around and he saw the Crown Vic. They were chasing after him. He struck out running, trying to get back to his car, but he couldn't. All of a sudden, gunshot rang out. Fire! Fire! It nipped him, flipped him. He fell, but he kept moving. He ran down an alleyway. The Crown Vic pulled up, didn't see him. He's hiding behind a dumpster, holding his side. The phone rang. Zzz, zzz. He looks at it. It's Dre. He got to thinking, what's going on? This is the man that said he was going to give me a chance to be a part of the family. And now Kalo's thinking, is he behind this? Is he the one that got these guys follow me? Because Kalo had seen this Crown Vic before, parked at the house. Why were they trying to get at him? Then he thought about it. Wait a minute. The pictures. He had done something he was not told to do. They want the pictures in that phone. They want the locations. They want the name. They want all of that information that he had sent to his phone. They want to know why he had done it. He's a threat now, and he realized that. But he had to play it cool. He's bleeding. You know when you get nicked, or sometimes a nick will bleed worse than the actual stab or shot. You know what I'm saying? And then it started to rain. And he had his own hoodie on, and the rain starts, you know what I'm saying, soaking the hoodie, and now his shirt is sticking to him, and the blood is still flowing. And he looking at it, he said, I gotta get home. I gotta get home. But see, far in the distance was another unmarked car that'd been watching and following him this whole time, and following the Crown Vic. Yeah, it was the feds. They watched everything play out, taking pictures, taking photos and everything. They didn't intervene though. They didn't bother to intervene and try to stop what was going on. They watched it play out. They watched them shoot at Kalo. They watched Kalo get away. They watched Kalo fall down on his knees in front of the diner when he looked up at the TV that was playing on the inside that said Trail Johnson was deceased. The detective, she started to put two and two together. Something's gone wrong here. Something's happened. They're chasing after him for what? So she follows him home. But that night, she don't approach him. She don't say a word. She lets him be. But they got a tail on him. They're watching him. They're waiting for the right opportunity, because the people in the Crown Vic, they're still hunting their prey. They're still looking for him. They're still following the orders. They're still following the orders from Dre. They want to know what to do. Kalo gets away. He gets to his apartment, his mom's place anyway, patches himself up, and now the calls are coming in to his mom, asking her, did she see the news? Did you hear about Trail? What's going on? Everybody's panicking. Everybody's crying. Now they go over to Trail's mom's house to pay their condolences. And they're rolling in. And if you don't know how this pans out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.